Hello, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today, I wanted to play around with some Conte crayons. This is just the matchbook, the 4-stick set, the black, the white, the brown, and the red. I had used these in college alongside charcoal and probably graphite. And honestly, I don't remember the application that I used it for. Maybe white as a chalk for highlights, maybe red for highlights and effects. But I know that I wasn't using them for their true intention. That being said, I think the true intention is more like the sketches on the cover here. I believe historically, prior to the advent of these, I think there was the trois or the 3 crayon technique, where it was white, black, and I think red on toned paper, and you were just doing these sketches. I don't think I'm going to use it in that traditional fashion either, but I'm going to kind of play around with it and see if there's a way I want to adopt them and use them. So in front of me I have some Stonehenge, just the drawing paper. This is the 90 pound. One side is a little bit more textured than the other, and I figured I'd play around and see how they act on either side. I'm going to tear them in half and put what I think is the more textured side on top. Sometimes you just feel it a little bit by your hands. And I want to apply them and then just smear some water over them and see how that looks. So while I'm doing this, I want to kind of just talk about what I've been experimenting with and what kind of led me down this path. Let's really try to get some heavy application. So summer's coming up. I'm a school teacher, and I am obviously off for the summer. Really no obligations. I was asked to help run the farmer's market next month. The lady who's running it, I think, is going to be out of town. So that's going to be cool. Kind of get more involved in that aspect in the community, especially since, you know, I do the farmer's market. But with summer here, I've been playing around with like kind of travel setups. Not that I really travel, but I've been, you know, longboarding, and sometimes with the intense heat down here, you need to stop underneath a tree and get some shade. So I wanted to find something I can kind of throw into my little hydration pack and just you know, maybe sit underneath a tree, sit on my longboard, sketch, paint, what have you. But I don't have much room in my pack, so it had me wanting to just explore different ideas. I'll even put some white on here. So anyway, that led to playing with liquid charcoal, which I always refer to him as Mr. Mega, a commenter on the channel. He had sent me some liquid charcoal that he had put little containers. I kind of dried some, but it was a lot of fun. It prompted me to order my own and then play around with it from there. So I have a lot of different like travel stuff that I've been playing with, and I think that'll make an interesting series. And adding on to that, just kind of playing around with it at home. So blue, tan, craft most likely is the color for this one. I have the more textured paper on top. Visually, I don't really see too much of a difference. Maybe a little bit between these. I'm sure somebody that uses pastel or charcoal is probably more likely to see the differences. The texture helps grab it, gives some area for it to sit in, and just various effects, kind of like watercolor, where you have your rough paper, you have your smooth paper, and you have your cold press, which is the medium ground between the two. All right, so I wanted to kind of scrub these around with water, see how that affects it. And one thing that I'm noticing is that it does retain some of those marks that are there, while also kind of loosening some of the pigment on top. I think conte, whenever you kind of read descriptions of it, it's often sold and advertised as kind of a more stronger binder than pastels. That has me curious how pastels would be if we were to go ahead and apply them and try to add water. But actually I do have pastels. I have these like vintage pastels that my mother had found in my grandma's drum. My grandma had passed away. That was kind of my art inheritance. I had actually used them on the channel at one point, once. I'm not a pastel person just because of the mess that they make. Which is funny, I was talking about the liquid charcoal, playing around with that. And then from there, just starting to play with these things where you're starting to use your hands more and you're starting to get pigment on your hands. Not that I really have anything on it right now, but I think that that's going to be the direction where my hands are going to become a train wreck of just charcoal and graphite. I'm going to pause the camera to dry off so we can see what it looks like dried. I didn't bother wetting the white. So I hit them with the blow dryer, and of course they scattered everywhere. So I had to hold them one at a time and try to dry them off doing that. Some feel a little damp still, but I'm going to move ahead. I'm not even sure if we changed the order of the colors. The paper itself. I have a few different erasers. I wanted to play around with that and see how that worked. So here's Derwent eraser. Okay, that erases. Erases. And erases. I think I will go into kind of further erasure detail in a actual landscape drawing, painting, just to see how much the paper can hold up with it. Let's see, this is, I guess it's just like a gum eraser. Okay. I honestly don't know the difference between different erasers. I did have the, I think I got this at Hobby Lobby, I think, this one. Anyway, I do remember having the kind of gummy erasers that you can move around and shape into points. And we would have the classic pink eraser. So we did use those, but what the difference is between the different types, it's something I'll have to look up. It's just not something I really use that often. In fact, even when I sketch, if I use a pencil and sketch, which is pretty rare, I don't use an eraser, but I'll try it with these. So that works. Lifting, let's play with that. We'll kind of wet some areas. And then I'll try one more thing after this. Okay, so I have this brush, the the R and L is how I refer to them, just because I can't pronounce the last name Royal and L. It does lift. I am going over the areas that we had washed. Let's see if I can lift right here. Kind of does more smearing than erasing, but I think that'll give a good effect. Okay. Now, last but not least, let's play around with a little bit of layering. Here I have the white. Okay, so it obviously shows up against everything else. And that's kind of one of the selling points of the Conte crayon, is going back and forth and building that up. In fact, don't tell me I already misplaced a piece of the black. Black passing next to it. There we go. And let's pass white right back on top of that black. There we go. Okay, so layering, you could definitely go back and forth. How many layers we can do, that I'm not sure of. So I'll look for that, an actual landscape looking one. The white, let's see which one it stands out best against. Usually when I was looking online, it was a kind of a gray toned paper. It looked the best. I think this one here, which is kind of grayish, craftish, looks the best in that regard, with the white popping. Probably between those two right there. Anything else that I want to explore before I actually do anything with this? A few other things to talk about. Yeah, the expressive mark making. Let me just flip it over. Here is the brown. You can use the side, use a flat edge, use the corner, so you get a variety of marks or brush strokes, what have you. I think with things like this, with charcoal, people will sit there and actually sand and file pieces to sharper points, which I don't know if that's something that I ever did, or something that I'd feel like I'd need to do to get into such fine detail, but that ability is there. Anywho, on that note, I'm gonna turn off the camera. I'll do this as one video, and then I'm going to play around and actually experiment with a landscape painting / drawing with these Conte crayons. So if you enjoyed, if you have any insight, let me know. By the way, they do come out with different colors of these. They have landscape ranges, which have the different colors of a landscape. They do have the portrait ones, I think, which have different colors if you were to use a portrait. I know that these are light fast. I'm not sure about all the other ones. But if you're a pastel person, and if you like all those different fun colors, that might be something worth looking into. All right, I hope you enjoyed, and I will be back with a painting. Have a great day.